got a question, ask Tom.
Show Radio live on Facebook and YouTube. Your questions, Tom's answers. Now here's Tom
Hey,
Tynan
Mike's hot.
and Charlie Mosier.
Live AskTom Live. I don't know if I like that. That's a little redundant. How about just welcome to AskTom Live? And I'm live. No, that's kind of redundant too. Okay, April Fools, I'm not live. Yes, I am. So that's not going to work either. Anyway, got that out of my system. It is AskTom Live. We welcome all of you here. Charlie told me that I was using the wrong name, so I had to get it. And sometimes you just repeat something enough,
Right.
and then you're used to it. Now I'm used to it. And here at AskTom Live, we answer your questions as they come in, whether it is on Charlie's screen, because I don't see them as they come up on your screen.
Mm-hmm.
So on Charlie's screen, he will relate the questions to me, or of course, he has some pre-prepared because he sits home at night, and one of his jobs is to make them up. In fact, he's coming out with his new book, the Ask Tom Live, I Made Up All These Questions Tom Couldn't Answer book. What do you think? Everybody else does it on like CNN and Fox, and everybody has a book.
Well, my understanding
You
is
need a book.
we're all entitled to our own facts. So we're joining in on that. Here on
Oh,
Show Radio.
this is a world of their own facts, yes. And that's
it.
not
That's what we're
April's Fools. That actually is really true.
No, that's those fools are 365 days a year. So
There you go.
now, but what we are doing
Anyway,
is
we're here to answer your
honest-
questions, and I do it on Saturday and Sunday on Sports Radio, 610 on Home Show Radio. There you go. There you go, right there. Saturday 9 to 12 and Sunday 8 to 11. And I need to get some of that Gorilla Glue so I can glue these things in my ear so they don't come out like the lady did with her hair. Now, of course, you have Danny, who is the expert when it comes to gardening, who was a big hit at the last two home shows we did because of the big freeze here in Texas we had. And he was helping everybody, telling them pretty much, yeah, it's dead. You have to replace it. So he was dealing with his plants, and he does that from 7 to 9, on Saturdays right before my show, answering your questions, usually trying to keep them alive. The freeze was a little rough, but he does a great job of that too.
Well, actually, I got a great idea from Danny. He shared a post on the Home Show Garden Pros Facebook page there. Somebody had this dead tree, and they trimmed it
Yes.
back, and they hung baskets on it. I thought, genius. And so we're going to do that with the Japanese maple that's been dead in our front yard here
Well,
since
what's
February.
in the baskets? Oh, Easter baskets?
No, flowers. flowering
Oh,
plants. It
flowering
becomes a
pots
planter.
and stuff.
Yeah.
This is someone cheap that doesn't want to get a root digger and dig those roots out. So, a root grinder. Yeah, okay, fine. It'll slowly die and go away in 20 years. Yes. And so will
Right.
the baskets.
Well, Chad's excited because it's going to give him job security, something for him to do around here, water those flowers and keep them alive in the basket.
Oh, is this in front of your place?
Yeah, right out front. Oh, that's right.
Oh, the yellow
You
tree.
haven't
I
been
haven't
here
been
in a
there
while. That's right. I
No,
forgot. That's
okay.
right.
Oh,
Tom
I thought
used
you
to
meant your
come here-
backyard where your swimming pool's going.
Tom used to come here every Thursday.
I did.
And now when he
You're
comes
right.
in, we're like, who's that guy? And he's lost so
Pretty
much weight. we
much.
didn't- He's lost so much weight last time we saw him. Nobody recognized him at the front door. So
No, yeah, I just haven't been around it in radio. All you are is a voice. You're never a
it.
face.
Well, you, my dear viewer, are a question away from being on our show, and it's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All you got to do is down underneath there, you got that comment section. Go ahead and type your question in there and send it in. Tom's here to answer them. We also are going to answer some questions that come from the Home Show Radio Ask Tom section at Home Show Radio. All legitimate questions, none of them made up.
That's true. You can't make these questions up.
No, you really can't.
And you know what? I've had people try to call the show and they just wanted to hear themselves, so they try to make a question up. And that's not that I'm really good at, answering all these questions, but I've been doing it for 35 years. But I've done it so long that I can tell when someone's actually making it up. Because I'll ask one little, like, so how big is it? And I just don't know how to go with it anywhere. They just wanted to hear themselves. Doesn't happen much, but once in a while someone will call a radio show and just do that to hear themselves.
Limbaugh used to call them seminar callers.
Is that what it was?
They've been to a seminar on how to fake out the host and stuff. Yeah. No.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you something
Not
else
very
that happens.
much on my show.
If you listen to Home Show Radio, we don't have this problem as much as we used to have it. Is that we used to have when somebody would be new on the show, they would have one of their people call up and ask a question. Hey, I've got, and they'd ask
those
the question.
I call bait questions.
Right.
Yes.
And they'd ask the question in such a way there's only one answer that really is about them. And Tom would be really good about handling them. He'd go, well, I don't know. Hard to say.
No, I would direct them. But that's just so people know. When you get a new advertiser, they think, I'll have all my friends call, and then Tom will just give out my name to all my friends. And then it'll go out over the air. I always tell them when we bring them on, listen, we love having you. Don't do that. I'm going to make you look bad. Not purposely, but I have to redirect it. And then you're going to get upset. And we snipped that one in the bud. That was quite a while back. People don't do that much anymore.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because I told them, I said, watch what Tom does to me on that show every week. He's going to do that to you on the radio.
Nice. I know how to squash something fast.
And he does it, but in the spirit of Christian love.
Nice. Yeah. You don't know it. I know it.
All right. Let's get to the questions.
Well, give me a question. Yeah.
People are sitting out there going, are you guys going to get some questions? My wife's like that. She's like, come on, get to the questions. All right, here you go, Sandy. First question comes to us from Reese up in Copperfield. She says, I'm thinking about purchasing a home built in 1975 out in College Station. It appears to be in pretty good shape. What specific issues with that vintage home should I be on the lookout for in particular, Tom?
This is actually a great question because if you get a home, 1975 was a fine year to build homes. We were pretty much out of the rock and digging caves for homes at that period. If a person maintains a home, or the families, or whoever came along in those years as they bought and sold them, if the home was maintained, very little. It's not updated with the big smart home technology and all of these things. You can always retrofit and add, and maybe some of that stuff was done. Maybe people put in new energy efficient toilets that worked, or light systems in the bathroom, or new custom mirrors or glass doors. Who knows what kind of stuff was done over the years. But if it was done tastefully and it was maintained, you have to do very little. In a home built in 1975, one of the things I would check, but not necessarily maintain or do anything with, is I would look at the breaker panel, because a lot of them in the 70s, they had some problems. They lasted a while, but that might be an upgrade you want to make. And when you do that, because the service to the house is going to somebody's
sorry about
music.
that.
So the service to the house is smaller than it needs to be for today's electrical stuff and electronics and things like that. You might increase the service size to a home from back then. But besides that, you really shouldn't have much to do if it was maintained. Normal things like if a roof is 25, 30 years old and it's time for a new one, that kind of thing. But that's just normal home ownership no matter when the house was built. But it all has to do with how it's maintained. You can take a house that's 10 years old, not maintain it, just be really rough with it, never fix anything, just abuse it, so to speak, with people putting holes in walls and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, rigging things onto it, putting a lean-to on the back to keep their dog out of the rain. You can tear a house up pretty quickly. So it's not that when it was built, it's how it was maintained, how much work you have to put into it. That's why you get a good inspection on the home before you buy it. You know what you're buying. If you're buying one that needs a lot of work, you spend less money buying it because you have to put money into it to maintain it or to bring it up to standards. But it has nothing to do with the year.
Okay, yeah. And you listen to that inspector carefully. And he does
sometimes.
Actually, you have to listen to the little things he says. When we bought our first house, he walked around the corner and he saw the condenser out there for the air conditioning unit. He goes, well, here's an oldie but goodie.
It was a goodie.
It was a Coleman air conditioner, Tom. It was.
I know you had to shoot them to kill them. They never died.
No, that's exactly right. And we had one of those warranties, and they kept coming and coming and coming, and they, Anyway,
some of those old air conditioners, they were SEER 3s. And I can go back to the Sears Roebuck days and stuff. There was some really stout equipment built that would never die. It was simple. It was like my 66 Mustang. You throw an alternator in there and you start it up and you head back down the road. It wasn't technology and up to today's standards, but you literally had to take a gun and shoot them. I had a friend. I had an old one. I don't even remember the name. It was some off-the-wall name on my very first house. And he was my air conditioner buddy. He used to maintain it. And one day I came home and it was gone. And I called him. I said, David, where's my condensing unit? He said, Tom, I kept going out and just doing the maintenance on it and stuff. And I got so tired looking at that old thing. I had one in my shop and I replaced it with a new one just for you because I couldn't handle it. This was 35 years ago. And I was upset. I liked the old one, but it was gone. He took it and he shot it out in his backyard. I
like old ones too. And I've come to like them more as I become one. So
that's true. Me too.
Hey, let me say hi to a little roll call going here. We got Doug is here, and Todd, and Michael, and Ronnie. They're here. Larry's here too. Larry's got a question. I don't know if this is in your wheelhouse, but I'll put it out there.
Try it.
He says he wants to know, how do you spread azomite since it's like flour?
Spread it for what?
You can put it out. I mean, how do you spread it? I wonder if I don't know. That's a Danny question, I think.
I know. Larry. No, I mean we do it by hand when we spread out lime and stuff before a concrete pour. We'll shake it out and rake it, and it gets dust everywhere. I know that.
No.
As far as they spread it.
No, that's not what azomite is. Azomite.
I know.
Okay.
So it's not down my wheelhouse, as you say.
No, yeah, I'm saying I think. We've used it a few times, and we just take it in the hand and just do this with it.
Well, that's what we would do with that powdery stuff. I've spread a lot of different things out in the yard, and we do it by hand. And you always stand upwind. You don't stand downwind. Even ant killer, fire ant killer, that ortho, man, that stuff smells like terrible. So you stand upwind, and it'll blow it around. But I don't know how else to do it but that. Just shake it out. We would just use shakers.
Larry. Okay.
That's not a good question to start the show off with.
Well, it's really our second question. I kind of put it a little lower. But Larry, here's the answer. Saturday mornings from 7 to 9.
There you go.
The Garden Pros will be around. Danny will be here. And actually, you know what? Danny, he has admin access to us, so he may put an answer to you in our timeline there for you about that. So be watching that and help you out. Thank you all for being here today.
I can see him saying the answer. You go, well, he'll come up with something. He loves scratching his beard real quick.
He does, and his beard is developed. He's actually put a room extension on the back of his beard now. I think he's.
I know. I noticed that.
I think there were some more birds looking for a home, and so.
You know why it looks like that?
Yeah.
It's because he wears his mask, and the mask pushes the front up, and the bottom comes down. That's why you see that. But we shouldn't be doing that here on AskTom Live.
Paul in Katy says the size of his house do not get much sun, Tom. So after any rainfall, the water pools and takes a couple days to dry. I was thinking about adding drainage. Wanted to know if this is the right direction, and if so, does he want a French drain or would a storm drain be better? What's your advice?
Well, before I get into the drains, his question is, it involved the sun. The sun has nothing to do with it. When water comes down, whether the sun's hitting the ground or not, although it'll dry some ground out a little quicker when it becomes moist, but if it's sitting there and puddling, that's not a sun issue. That is a drainage issue. So now we can head straight to the drains, whether the sun's hitting it or not. If you ever have puddling water or pooling water, it's because it's not going anywhere and you need to move it. Usually a yard drain is what you're looking at. People use the word French drain all the time. French drain is, I'd like people, if are really interested, Google French drain and really look at them. Usually what you'll see, it's not what we use. We'll use a catch basin in a low spot, which will be like a square strainer. They look like a strainer, like in the bottom of a shower, only square. And the water will go down that and go down an ADS pipe to the street or wherever you want to drain it. So a couple of those in the yards, people call them and just use them as yard drains is what they're they're referred to as. But some drains on either side, some yarn drains, yes. Storm drain, that's something that goes down the street and handles Hurricane Harvey floodwaters and stuff. You certainly don't need it on the side of your home, so that's not the right terminology. But yard drains down either side, move the water, don't let it pool, don't let it puddle, move it quick, and then just the air and everything else will dry out the soil itself. But that's not the sun's issue. The sun is for things to grow and photosynthesis and all that. Okay. Then we move on to Danny with growing things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll talk about how that causes the.
You see how I cut off? That's where my job ends and his job starts. Okay.
Yeah, my cardiologist father-in-law, when you ask him anything medical, he goes, "I know this."
Exactly.
Yes. All right. Alrighty. Hey, Ricky just came in. Hey, Ricky. Good to have you here. Thank you for watching with us. Let's see. Next question comes to us from Karen in Somerville, Georgia. She says we had some cabinets that were made when we built out the home 25 years ago, and they used a baked-on white finish, and they're now in need of repainting. Is there anything I can use that will stick to the slick finish? It cannot be sanded because it's so hard. I guess it's really baked on, Tom, that they can't sand it.
I don't know how they baked it on, if it's a wood cabinet. If it's a metal cabinet, it would be a powder coating of some sort. And that is actually a baking process, so that might be. But it's probably a very hard finish, and if they did a hard finish on there like a lacquer, we can do what I'm about to tell you, and it'll work. If it is a powder coating, same thing. Although powder coating, you can rough up a little sandpaper, but you don't want to do it much. There's a product out there that our favorite person in the whole world named Rudy from Rudy's Quality Painting has taught me about, and he uses it on all these hard finishes that he has to go in and repaint inside people's homes, because you don't want to sand, you don't want stuff airborne, you don't want the dust. You want to use a chemical etcher, so to speak. And the name of the product he uses, and I've used it too, it's called Crudder, and it starts with a K. K-U-R-D-D-E-R, Crudder. And just follow the directions and you wipe everything down, and it becomes kind of tacky, and it actually etches the surface through a chemical process. Then you can go ahead and paint if you want to do that. But that's how you would get that surface to hold a new paint.
Is this a common problem, Tom?
Well, the baked on thing kind of throws me. I'm not sure what's baked on. Is it a common problem to have a hard finish? No, that's good. Anytime I built homes, all our undercoating on all the woodwork was a lacquer undercoat, which is hard as can be. When they sanded it in new construction, it became like glass. And then we'd put the oil-based finish coat on there, whatever color or tint they wanted, and whatever sheen they wanted as far as finishing out the house. And it looked fantastic, and it held up really well. But you'll get hard finishes, and it's not that you can't sand them. Something will etch them or scratch them if you want to, if you try hard enough. But you really don't need to get into that, and you try to avoid sanding in all cases unless you're refinishing antiques or something. You don't want to do that in the middle of your living room. Take it outside or out in the garage to do all the sanding and stripping. But as far as that goes, the liquid deglossers are very common. And just a rule, if you're going to come back with a water-based paint, you use a trisodium phosphate in water, TSP in water, to clean and etch the surface. Because a water base goes with a water base, and that you mix with water. If you're going to use an oil-based paint like you would on cabinets or something of that nature, you use a chemical deglosser, and Crudder is one that works very well.
Yeah, I'm wondering about that, if it is not necessarily baked on, but it's one of those hard enamel kind of finishes.
That's what I'm thinking. I think it's a
talking
lacquer.
about.
It's a hard enamel finish. I do.
Yeah.
And it can be hard. It's great.
No. And the other key thing in your advice there, Tom, is if you're going to strip, do it outside.
Well, I don't know if that's really the case. You could go to jail.
That's what I heard you say.
Stripping's better in the bathroom.
Yes. Unless it's a cabinet.
I don't know where
Unless
you're
it's
going,
it's a
Charlie.
cabinet, you want to take it outside.
Yes.
Come on, I was just repeating the important part. Get your mind out of the gutter, will you?
Yes.
Next question.
I'm not going down that road anymore.
Broderick,
Let's
Tom,
take
there's
a
so
right.
many roads Tom won't go down.
Yes.
Broderick in the Heights says, I'm considering painting my concrete stamped patio. Are there any special considerations that I should take in doing this, Tom?
No, you're going to use a deck paint that's meant for concrete. You don't want to use an epoxy. Epoxies don't do well outside. Epoxies do real well in garages and warehouses and things like that when it comes to the floors, to the decks. But just use a deck paint and just make sure it's good and clean and ready to paint, and paint right over the top of it. It's a pretty simple process. It's not much different than repainting your siding on your home, which if you had hardy siding is a cement siding. You make sure it's clean and you paint it with an exterior house paint. You're not going to walk on it, so you don't need a deck paint. Deck paints are a little harder finish, so for the walking, make it a walking surface.
Mm-hmm. When you do that, when you paint because I remember hearing you say that pattern concrete can be really a challenge. The integrity of it isn't quite what a solid piece of concrete was. I think you told me that stamping into it when they're pouring it like that creates a thinner part of it. Is that not right?
No,
did I hear you wrong on that?
I don't think I ever would have said that, because the stamp is so minor. And you see so many that actually have cuts in them, so when they crack, you don't see the cracks. They're control joints. Mm-hmm. But as far as that goes, one thing I didn't like about not stamped concrete, but the stained concrete in color, is it gets if you get a crack in it or something like that, and you spend all that money on this concrete that's coloring all the way through, you can't go back and ever match it. So you got to jackhammer everything out if it really bothers you. I wouldn't do colored concrete pours for people, because they were always disappointed somehow. The colors didn't quite blend on each different pour, mm-hmm. and they were spending so much money. And stamped is okay. It's you got to be really good when you get someone to do it, and it's going to be expensive, because you can do it wrong. If they don't get that stamping right, you're going to get weak points where they got the stamp done too late and the concrete was already curing too fast. So there is some application issues you got to be very careful with. You might have heard that.
That's what.
And so you got to be really careful and have someone really good with enough people to finish it properly.
Yeah, there's a subdivision over near here called Lakesa Parkway, and I swear every driveway is stamped concrete, and they've been colored, and they've got that sealer on top of it, and they almost look like they're kind of shiny. And I just it's like, it seems like
not for me, but people.
Yeah, there are people who like.
Oh, you got to constantly put a sealer on it. You got to, if you want to make it look good, because it'll wear out. The sun will beat it up.
Yeah, my dad used to say that's why they make red cars and that's why they make blue cars. So.
Okay. I just bought a red motorcycle.
No, he also say there's an ass for every seat. So, but that's a whole different story.
Okay, fine.
All right. Let's go.
That's clean enough. I'll go with that.
All right. Fifth, I'm learning what roads Tom will go down. You know, we're on this little driving adventure every week, boys and girls. All right. Yeah. Got another question for you here. By the way,
yes,
a bunch of folk have come in since I last did a little roll call over here. Let's see. Did I say Wendy and Mary were here? They were here, I think. And then Richard's come in, and Donald, and there's Jessica has come in. She's here. Thank you for being here. And we're here every Thursday from 4 till when we run out of questions, or if we have a guest, it'll run longer sometimes. We'll have some guests coming up. And, you know, Danny comes in here about once a month and takes care of all the questions we can't answer, you know, like, say, this one. Okay.
Yeah. No, I like having him here because he's a smart guy. He helps out. He's part of the team.
He's good. Yes, he's a strapping young man. So, all right.
Yeah, he is the young one, too, in the group.
He really is. He really is. Yes. You know, I was talking to my one of my kids' grandparents on my first wife's side. Anyway, I was talking to her, and she's like, "I'm so old." I told her, "You're not that old." And she told me how old she was. I said, "You're the youngest grandparent my kids have."
There you go.
Think about that. All right. Fifth question, and last one we got today. Unless you guys have any you want to put in the comments section down underneath, we'd love to get them. It's real easy. You just go to that comment section and fill them out, and we'll answer them for you. But Brian in Katy says, I have a 19-year-old tree in my front yard, Tom, that has grown under my driveway and is causing the driveway to raise by an inch on that side of the house. It has continued to raise over the past 6 to 9 months, and I feel I need to get this addressed.
Well, the tree's going to win the battle, I'll tell you that right now. And if you've let it go to where it's an inch and now it's more than an inch, we have someone we refer all the time called Concrete Raising Corporation. They can raise it even more, but that's not what you're looking at. You're looking at to lower this thing. And with tree roots, the only solution I know of, and you can certainly call them out and take a look, maybe they can raise the other side and make it all even. I don't think that usually works with a tree root on the edge. But as far as that goes, is you jackhammer it out and you remove the tree root. I wish I could tell you could cut the tree root and slowly pull it out from underneath there, and then the thing would drop to its regular spot. But that's just fantasy land. That tree root is there for good until you grind it out, cut it out, or jackhammer it out. It's going to be there for a long, long time. But that's what you would end up doing, is removing the root system and maybe not allowing another one going under there by either removing the tree or putting in a deeper beam along the edge of your concrete next time, about 10 inches deep, so those roots can't crawl underneath there. It's very simple, but it's usually not done with driveways. They're done thin so the roots can get under there and then expand, because they're anchor roots that are growing up, not the feeder roots.
Wait a minute. Did I hear you right? They designed the driveway so these roots can go under and expand and lift them?
The driveways are designed to allow that to happen, not so they can.
Okay.
Let me change 3 words or 4 words there.
It's like the way you said that. I was like, wait a minute.
I know. I feel like I'm a
Sounds like some
politician
kind of
up on,
fiendish business plan by the Concrete Corporation.
Well, I think I'll circle around and say,
how to do it now. Let's get in league with the roofers too, because we'll get the branches close to the tree.
You know what? Maybe it is. I'm not much into conspiracies, but who knows? Maybe. But the roots got to get out. The only way is to get the concrete out. So it's a big challenge.
And Concrete Raising Corporation is one of our home show pros. If you are looking for them,
they do. Yeah.
Yeah, and they can level that driveway. They'll take the humps and bumps and the lumps out of it for you. And you can find them along with all our home show pros right here on the home page. If you scroll down, you'll see they're right there, and up in the bottom, if you click Find a Pro, you can also sort it by category and find the pro you're looking for based on the work you need to get done. So that's the program there. And by the way, those home show pros, to be a home show pro, they have to have earned Tom's trust. They have to have met his standards. They've got to be in business, 5 years. They have to have insurance. They have to have a place of business. Help me out, Tom. I know there's 2 more. I can't remember what they are off the top of my head.
They got to be in business a long time. They got to know what they're doing. They got to have insurance. They have to have a place. They have to have a phone.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And you can, if you get into big stuff, one of the things I love to do, 2 things you can ask them. And they'll say, oh, yeah, we'll get back to you. And they usually don't come back. Is you ask them for the bank where their business is. And you say, well, can I call the banker you deal with? Make sure they're in good standing with their bank. Just the fact that you want to call a bank and ask one of the people, like I deal with a lady, I could give you the name with my business because I have a business. And they'll say, oh, yeah, Tom has done business here for 20 years. He does a great job. His company's solid with us. The other thing is where he buys his materials. Ask for where he buys, just one, like for me would have been lumber. Where do you buy your lumber? I'd give them at the time, I would have given them the name of McCoy's or whatever I was dealing with at the time. They call the accounts payable department and say, hey, is he paying his bills on time? To ask them if they can do that with your people. The good people say, yeah, sure, I guess if you want to. The other people say, oh, yeah, we'll get back to you, and you'll never hear from them again. Mm-hmm. You'll run people off real fast and in a very nice way. They just don't want to be scrutinized that way because they can't pass the scrutiny. Now, the other thing with insurance, this is important since we're down this road, is if they give you a certificate of insurance, that's fine, but it doesn't bind them with any kind of real insurance coverage. You need to ask, especially when you start a project, if you're really concerned, and you should be, ask to have that certificate of insurance mailed directly to you from their insurance agent. That's what the agent is supposed to do. And what that does is it puts the agent on notice that you have a copy of their certificate and how good that certificate is good for, because it'd be good for 30 days and the job could last 6 months. So you'll get a renewal notice when they renew, or you won't, which is a bad thing, or you'll find out what coverage they truly have. And in most cases, a lot of the guys never will send it to you because they don't have insurance that's intact. It's kind of like that insurance card if you watch Judge Judy, you carry in your car and say, look, I had insurance, but you didn't pay your 6 months of bills, but the insurance card was good for 6 months, you really don't have car insurance if you didn't make your payments. And that's why you want to be put on notice from their insurance company.
Because
Is that okay, Charlie?
Because in case they're on Judge Judy, did I miss part of that?
That could be, in
okay.
case you need to take them to Judge Judy, or most importantly, in case you call their insurance company and say, hey, the guy broke all the windows in the house, he spilled paint over my $100,000 Oriental rug, I need coverage. And they'll say, well, he didn't pay his bill for the last 3 months, he's not covered. Then guess who's not covered? You.
You know, today's an important day. But I haven't mentioned this at all today.
It's Kathy Turner's birthday.
Is it? I just gotta know who that
Yes,
is,
I don't know if
awesome.
people remember Kathy Turner. She's a
know who
weather
she
lady
is.
here in town.
Okay.
Okay.
No, today's a very important day. Today is, you know what today is?
Kathy Turner's birthday.
What else? You know what else?
I don't know. You tell me.
No, come on, you know. I know you do.
I'm not going. I'm not getting set up by you
Okay,
because
I'm
I
not
don't know what's
setting you
going on.
up.
I will not
Nice.
set up. No. It is. I know it's April 2021.
It is April 1st, but that's not what I was talking about. I knew
Well,
that's
then
where
I
you
don't
thought I was
know.
going. I knew you thought that's where I was going, but it wasn't. No, in fact,
I don't know.
it
I have no
is.
idea.
It's opening day. That's why I have my Astros shoes on today. Go Astros! Yeah, hey, come on. It's not. That's right. We're actually
I'm only 1,000 miles
That's right.
away.
That's right. We're actually in the same room. Watch. I'm going to reach over now and get Tom. Now, wouldn't that be cool? We get it playing where somebody could reach across.
No,
into
that
the
would
scene.
not be cool. Okay, I don't like people touching me.
I gotta get Sandra. I
But
know
anyway, yes, it
Sandra's
is.
cell phone
It
here.
is
Yeah.
baseball day.
Yeah,
That's
it's
why they're
opening
playing
day.
in Georgia. I hear.
Yeah, a friend of mine is from back home in New England is a Red Sox fan. You know, she's also Catholic, so she's doubly long suffering. But she said she says easy. No, she says, you know, that we have our opening day today. She says we have to wait till tomorrow. I said, no, it's the Red Sox. You have to wait till next year. So, anyway. Thanks for playing a long time. I appreciate you support my sport.
I don't know
You're always
anything
there
about
for me.
baseball.
You're always there for me. I appreciate that. All
I
right.
used to go see the Fort Worth Spurs. For those of you in Texas that remember them.
I used to, my first game at the Dome was with the Gamblers.
See,
Remember that?
That's where I go
Was it
back
Jim
to baseball.
Kelly? I
was
think
in
Jim
the
Kelly
60s.
was the quarterback on that team a million years ago.
Well, I caught passes from him when I was on the Hurricane football when he was our quarterback. He threw hard as can be. He would break your wrist if you didn't catch that ball right. That man would throw a ball like a cannonball.
There's a sport I
Not
want to get
beating
involved
set.
in. That's great.
Right. If it hit you in the face, you were going to have a pancake for a face.
Bill and
why we
Pam
wear
are here, and
helmets.
Sandy's here. Hey, thank you everybody for being here. You know, we get together. We start this show every week at 4:00 Central Time here on Facebook. And by the way, it reruns at 9:00 on Friday. So if you see the live announcement that we're on Friday night, Tom and I are at home. But if you missed part of the show and you want to see it, or there was part of it that you found particularly fulfilling for you, you can experience that fulfillment again. Friday nights we rerun the show at 9 on Home Show Radio's Facebook page. So that's what we got. So that's pretty much, that's all the questions I got. We didn't get a lot in today, and that's fine. I mean, they come and they go. I know what it is. A lot of people are taking off early. I had trouble reaching people today in my business because they're taking off for the Easter weekend. They took off
Easter.
early. Yeah, so anyway, we hope you...
But I will be on the air Easter Sunday. I will be on Holy Saturday, and I will be setting up a roofing training lab on Good Friday. So I work all 3 days. So, ha!
Nothing for Monday, Thursday? You haven't got anything tonight?
Oh,
Tom,
yeah. Roofing class
Tonight,
starts on
Tom,
Monday.
tonight you get home, get your shoes off, and wash your feet. Or better yet,
I'm
have
already
Sandra do
home.
it. There you go. So
In
you're
fact,
one
I
step
think I
ahead.
already did.
All right. Anyway,
Yes.
we hope if you, whether you're going to the Tridium or anywhere else, we hope that any other kind of observance of this weekend, we hope you'll remember the good news of this weekend and enjoy your Good Friday and the blessings that we all get on Sunday, on Easter Sunday. We will be back here again next Friday, and we would love to hear from you. In the meantime, if you got a question you want to send it to us, go visit homeshowradio.com. Right there, you can click on that Ask Tom button. It'll take you to this page, and you can fill it out and send us your questions, and we will take care of them like we have these and others, because Tom insists that we get together every week and produce enough Ask Tom videos that we can run one every day at homeshowradio.com. Isn't that right, Tom?
That is right. I insist. Every Saturday from 9 to 12 and Sunday 8 to 11, catch me on Sports Radio 610 here in the Houston area. And don't forget Danny. He'll help you with your plants, and he'll tell you how to spread really dusty, weird stuff all over your yard, because that's what he does. He's the dust spreader.
That's right. Whether it's Azomite or Microsoft,
Azomite
Microlife. That's what it is. Only
that's not dust. I know how to spread that.
I have an American Express card and a wife. That's how I garden. So anyway, you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy your Easter, and we'll see you again next Thursday.
Got a question? Ask Tom on Home Show Radio. Home Show Radio. Free advice from a pro